Hello, this is Pre-Algebra, Section 9-2, Functions. Please have your journals with you, sitting beside you, so that you can take notes throughout this video. I expect you to take notes just as if you were sitting in my lecture, in my class, because this video is supposed to take that lecture's place. No sleeping in class. Thank you very much. Hello, this is 9-2, Pre-Algebra. Section is called Functions. So we'll be discussing functions today. Those of you who have had this before, bear with me because I'm going down into very basic function descriptions, because there are people in our class who have not had functions before. And this is a very important concept. Let's say that you want to go buy DVDs, okay? So here's a DVD, and then here's the cost, okay? How much it's going to cost. So if you buy one DVD, all right, you pay $15, and that'll be in dollars. Now, if you buy two DVDs, that's going to be $30. So how much is it going to cost if you do 3, 4, or 5 DVDs? Okay, well, that's pretty simple, right? If one is 15 and 2 is 30, 3 will be 45, 4 will be what? 60, thank you. And finally 5 will be 75, okay? So what we've just done here is create a function. All right. A function, let me write this down here. A function is a relationship. Okay, it's a relationship that assigns exactly one output value for each input value. Okay, so what does that mean really? Well, look over here at our table again. It says it's a relationship that assigns exactly one output for each input. So here's an input over here, okay? This guy is an input. We input 1, we get out 15. We input 2, we get out 30. We input 3, we get out 45. Each one of these has one output, okay? That's a function. All right, so we write functions this way, okay? This is called function notation. And we write it just like this. All right. Function notation is where this is called f of x. Okay, that's how you pronounce it. F of x. And this is the output. Okay, this is the output of your function. And the input is this guy. Okay, he's the input. So in this case, the input can be any real number, okay, even 0. Because if you don't buy any DVDs, then how much does it cost you? $0. So that works. Okay, let's do an example. Let's do example 1 on page 469. Okay, and that says that we have this function. We have the function of x is equal to x minus 5. And what it wants to know is, what is this guy? Okay, well, what this is we read this as the f of 9. Okay, because what 9 represents is the input value of x. So we're going to make 9 appear wherever there's an x. So in the original equation, it's x minus 5. So that becomes now 9 minus 5. And that's 4. So f of 9 equals 4. Okay, let's do a really quick different one. What's f of 0? Well, you put a 0 where the x is. X minus 5, it's 0 minus 5. That would be negative 5. Okay, let's do a second example then. Example 2, again on page 469. And that says, how about if you have, over here, f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay, what is the f of negative 3? Okay, well, again, you take negative 3 and you put it in wherever you find an x. So it's 2 times negative 3 plus 1. You rewrite that. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 plus 1, and that equals negative 5. Okay, so moving on. A couple more vocabulary words here. Okay, now I know you guys have heard this before, and I know it's not your favorite because you always get them confused. Domain and range. Yes, everybody's favorite. So what is the domain? The domain is the set of input values to the function, okay? The set of input values to the function. Now, usually, especially at this level, that really means all real numbers. You can throw anything into it. That's not always the case, but for here, that's probably going to be more than likely true. Now the range. Okay, so if the domain is the set of input values, guess what the range is? It's the set of the output values that you get when you put the input values in. Okay, so it's the set of output values. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to set up something called a function table. And we're going to do that by running example 3 on page 470. Okay, and we're supposed to complete the function table for this function right here. F of x is equal to x plus 5. All right, so what does a function table look like? Well, just like the DVD example we had, you had DVD and then you had cost. Well, the DVD was the input. Okay, here we have an input. All right, and the rule, the function rule that we have is simply the function x plus 5. Okay, so the function rule, we're going to leave that right here. And then lastly, we have the output. Okay, so the input variable is x. The function rule is x plus 5. And the output is, yes, f of x. Okay, so let's go and start. Well, let's throw a negative 2 in. Okay, so if we put negative 2 in, we have negative 2 plus 5. Negative 2 plus 5 gives us what? That's right, 3. What about negative 1? We have a negative 1 plus 5. Negative 1 plus 5 gives us 4. What about 0? Okay, you have 0 plus 5. Well, it gives us 5. And what happens if x is 1? You have 1 plus 5. and that's 6. Okay. That's a function table. And that's all there is to it. You have input values, the x, you have the function rule, and then you have output values. Now, given then our vocabulary for this function, what we've done right here, what is the domain? Well, you first would say all real numbers, but that's not quite true. I'm talking about what we've done for this function right here. What are our inputs? You write them like this. You do that open curly brace. We did a -2. We did a -1, a 0, and a 1. And then you do a closing brace, closing curly brace. That's the domain. The domain is the input. You write it just like this. What about the range then? Okay, the range is the output. The output was 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, that's really all there is to functions. It's very simple in concept. Okay, you have input values, you have a function rule, and then you have outputs. The last part of this video, I'm going to be going over a word problem. No, a word problem, make it go away, please. Yeah, none of that. Thank you very much. I'm going to show you how to take this apart, and it's not going to be that difficult. You just simply have to read. Now, I pasted this word problem into my presentation here. Okay. All right. So a veterinary technician needs to administer medication to a dog. The dosage is 5 milligrams of medication for every 1 pound of weight of the dog. So write a function to represent the amount of medication, M, needed for P pounds of weight. And then we're going to determine how much medication to give a dog that weighs 33 pounds. Like the example states, this is a function with 2 variables, the amount of medication, M, and the weight of the dog, P. So words, let's look at this. The amount of medication, all right, we're going to let that be M. Okay, so there's M. And we're going to set that equal to the equation that we need to find out how much medication is needed here. So it says 5 milligrams for every pound of weight. Okay, now remember, pound of weight is a variable. So we want to go 5 times P. That's it. I mean, that's the equation. It's not that hard, really. Okay, so M is equal to the amount of medication. All right, and P is equal to the dog's weight. And this is going to be, actually, this is important. This is going to be in milligrams. So there is one part of our answer. Okay. The second part says, determine how much medication to give a dog that weighs 33 pounds. Okay, so for 33 pounds, we have M, because that's what we're looking for, how much medication to give him, is equal to 5 times P, which is 33, which is equal to 165. So for a 33-pound dog, we need to give 165 milligrams of medication. Okay, that is it for this video. If you have questions, please give me an email and let me know if you have comments about things that I can do better or things like that. Then let me know as well. Thank you.